Hey, welcome to July. It feels like I blinked my eye and we're already in July. But nonetheless, we are here, and so we are grateful. I am grateful and thankful to be in another month. This month is Minority Mental Health Month. And so today I want to talk to you all about parenting and your mental health, right? I don't know why we don't spend more time talking about mental health as it relates to parenting, because it definitely affects our mental health. Let's get into it. So I want to share a story with you all. So after my oldest son was born, I experienced all the things. I had a complicated pregnancy, I had a traumatic birth, and then when my son was 4 months old, I had to have surgery. I had fibroids. I had just, you name it, you can think it happened to me. And so after I had him, I experienced, I was depressed. I couldn't fit any of my clothes. I had a lot of swelling during my pregnancy, so it was kind of hard to get all of this. It took a while to get the swelling down. So I couldn't fit my clothes. My skin had kind of gone through some changes. I just wasn't myself, right? Not to mention the hormones are still raging and ranting and all the things. And so I experienced postpartum depression and anxiety. And so it was a whole mess, right? And so one of the things that I had to figure out or come to terms with was, what did I need? How could I improve my mental health? What did I need to do? And one of those things was I needed to learn how to ask for help. So I did have support, but people will do what they know to do until you tell them that you need some, or until you ask them to do something different. And so one of the things that I needed to do was to be able to get back to working out. That was something I did before I was pregnant, and then I couldn't do it while I was pregnant because I had all these complications, but I needed to get back to working out. So I found a trainer that could come to the house, but I couldn't train and have my son at home at the same time. So I had to ask my mom and my mother-in-law if they could trade days and times. And so I just had to figure it out, right? My husband was working a crazy schedule, and so I couldn't depend on his schedule because it was crazy. And so if I had to depend on his schedule, then it wouldn't be consistent. So I was like, okay, let me ask for help. So I think a lot of times when we are parenting, maybe we're not around other family members, and so asking for help looks different for us. But if asking for help can come in a multitude of ways. Your help may be your daycare worker. Maybe the daycare that your child attends, and so maybe everything that you do or you can do is around the time when your child is at daycare. And that's fine, because we don't live in community like we used to, right? A lot of times, previously, we lived, grandmother lived down the street, or our aunt lived down the street, or, but now we live in different states and cities in our families, and so we just don't have that support. I've seen a lot of moms talk about, it's just me, everything falls on me, and I don't have any help. So that daycare may be your support. And so as your child is there, you develop relationships. And so maybe you develop a relationship with the teacher. And so maybe that can become your babysitter outside of work. Or, you just use those hours where your child is there to get the help that you need so that you can pour back into you. Because if your mental health is not right, parenting is extremely difficult. All right, so we want to make sure that we are asking for help, and again, help comes in a multitude of ways. And then, so I'm a guy girl. Whatever you believe is what you believe, but I'm a guy girl. And so one of the things too that was happening was I didn't have time for prayer. I didn't have time for anything. Well, let me not say that. I didn't have prayer in the way that I was accustomed to it, right? So I would get up before having my son. I was getting up early. I was having quiet time and spending time with God. But once I had my son, I wasn't able to do what I had been doing, and I hadn't quite figured out how to make that adjustment. So whatever you believe, it's reinstating that quiet time. And after you've had a baby, again, it looks different, right? Because my son was an every 2-hour baby. So he was up and ready to eat every 2 hours. And so, that was a whole nother story, right? So my mind was, I just couldn't figure out. I just couldn't. So, maybe that's your story too. But God is like, I don't need all that. Just, pray while you're feeding him. Pray while you're, up in the midnight hour and you can't fall asleep. Just talk to God when you can, when you're thinking about it. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate because he knows where we are. So asking for help praying when you need it, because you're gonna need it. And then also getting, sleep and eating well is a whole nother thing. So I told you guys that my son was an every 2-hour baby. So initially I wasn't thinking about working out. I was like, anytime somebody came over and they could take him, I was going to sleep because I was exhausted. So, making sure that you get sleep and also making sure that you're watching what you eat. Because if you load up on a lot of sugar, that's not gonna be good either. You're not gonna feel good, and it's just gonna play on your mental too. So making sure you get sleep and eating decently, and maybe that just looks like drinking more water and not ingesting as much sugar. And we know that sugar is not just sweet stuff, but it's also like a lot of breads. So asking for help, praying and meditating, and then getting sleep and eating decently, those 3 things are important. And I will say, also making sure that you have, when I say support, it doesn't, not asking for help, that is a form of support, but also somebody that you can talk to. Maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your girlfriend, maybe it's just being able to go to a Facebook group and vent your issues and your concerns, but you need to have some level of support or somewhere where you can talk things out. Maybe it's a coworker. There are lots of support groups now that exist that didn't exist when I had my oldest son. So utilizing the online space to find a group or a place where you can just kind of vent and get it all out, right? And so it's really important that we take care of our mental health, and it doesn't matter if you are if you are mom to a newborn or if you're a mom to a teenager, because we know that teenager thing is a whole nother thing. You got to be 10 steps ahead of them. You gotta be alert to social media and all the things that are going on there. So you definitely need your mental health to be intact. And so again, if you are a parent, and as we go further into the month of July, I just want to encourage you to do one of those things, right? I'm not asking you to do all of them, right? Because that's hard, right? If you're starting from ground zero, then trying to do all those things, implement all those things as a parent, it's gonna be hard. So choose one thing. Again, asking for help in the form of the daycare, asking for help in the form of a summer camp, asking for help in the form of hiring somebody to do the cooking and cleaning, asking for help in whatever way that can give you some time back so that you can pour into yourself, right? You can't give out from an empty place. So asking for help, making sure that you are, whatever your belief is, but if you a God girl like I am, making sure that you give some time to just be able to sit with God and pray and talk to him and get some feeling in of the word and of him. There are lots of apps out there, so you don't even have to read for yourself. It will read to you. So if you sleepy, like the Abide app or even YouVersion. Use those tools. And then thirdly, sleep, and nutrition. And so again, I'm not asking you to do a whole overhaul of what you're eating, because that's hard too. That's a whole nother job in and of itself. But maybe just increasing your water intake and eliminating sugar. So maybe eliminating, a lot of breads, a lot of sweets. I'm not saying cut them out. I'm just saying decrease them, right? And then lastly is finding a support group. And so maybe that's where you start. Start looking for ways that you can get the support that you need, whether it be online, whether it be through a support group in your community, but also reaching out to figure out what exists out there, because there are things out there. If you can't do it in person, you can do it virtually, or find a Facebook group, because there are lots of Facebook groups. So I hope this has been helpful. I highly encourage you to in this month to do the one thing that will help set you up for the next thing. And just to be mindful and to remember that we have to take care of our mental health, because if we don't, no one else will. All right, so y'all have a happy July, and let me know what your one thing is. What is the one thing that you're deciding to do for yourself and your mental health in terms of improving so that you can be a better parent for yourself and for your family this month? Let me know down in the comments.